Hello. Come in. Get that jacket off you. Oh, gee, you're covered in snow. Is that suede? Oh, God. No, that'll be ruined. That's a shame. Well, you must be freezing in that jumper. Do you know what? You need a Studio Meala hoodie, which is available now in the Studio Meala shop, and all the profits from that will go right back into the studio, into projects, so I'm told. So, you'll be helping out the studio there. Anyway, that's just something I thought to say in the moment. Anyway, welcome to the Studio Meala Christmas Cabin. So, as you know, I've been talking to people throughout the year, and they do get edited, those conversations, and so a lot ends up being cut out. And sometimes there's things that I think that would be nice to leave in, but maybe it's running a little long, or maybe it's a little off topic. And I thought, well, how about compiling those and then putting them together at the end of the year, like a little look back, a little Christmas gathering. It's a little Christmas party. And you're going to be hearing from everyone who I spoke to previously, but this is all new stuff. And what better place to start than with my first ever guest, Sean Cunningham. If my little edit elves could just cue that clip up for us. My little edit elves, hello in there. Okay, they see me. They hear me. They can't hear me. You have to hold down the... Okay, hello, edit elves. That first clip with Sean, cue it up. Let's play it. Let's hear it. Okay. Please, everyone, enjoy. Now, you mentioned reading. You've reminded me, I read a book recently, and in it, the lead of the story, it was based on real events in their life. They were playing a saxophone.
Oh my goodness.
At an event, something that you've done. You play saxophone. And he described a drunken person at the event going up to the band with a bottle of beer and poured their beer into the saxophone during the performance. Now, how bad a thing is that to do? Because when I was reading it, I was thinking, that seems like an awful thing to do.
I mean, I don't think it wouldn't actually do that much damage, because I guess a lot of people don't know this, but like the saxophone's covered in holes. Like all of those keys are holes. So it would probably just, drain out the sides as the person was playing. But it would make your saxophone mad smelly. And there would be a bit pooled at the bottom that might be you might forget about, and it might stay there for a while. So
just blasting the audience with spit of carling.
I recognise by saying it's not that bad, people are just going to be like, all right, well, pour away. That reminds me that I was at a party once where I brought the saxophone. It was the after party of a musical thing I was in when I was like 18. And I brought the saxophone because I thought it would be fun. And when eventually we were playing music later, someone just put an entire giant candle in the bell of the saxophone.
Right.
Which wasn't an issue. It wasn't lit or anything. But like, it stayed there for so long. Like, I packed the saxophone away for ages and like eventually found a large, just like someone's candle from their house that they might have spent a good bit on just in my saxophone.
That is such 18-year-old party bands.
I mean, the person who put it in, because it was a community musical thing, I think was like 50. So. But yeah, it was that sort of thing.
You just remind me of every party where it was like the big gag was, we've put an apple in the lamp. They won't find that apple for a while.
Yeah. Oh my god.
And when they do, an apple doesn't go here.
They're gonna be miffed.
These lads, oh my God.
They're mental. They're crazy.
It's like something off television.
This is like Animal House. But yeah, candles and saxophones. Just stuff in saxophone seems. The saxophone, I think, must be just an attractive instrument to. I guess no other instrument has just a big hole pointing towards.
Everyone watching you play. Is
Everyone
just thinking,
watching
man,
that dips down.
Gotta get something in there.
Because
Throwing an orange from the back of the room straight in.
Thunk.
Actually, there's something that I want to raise while I'm here before I go. Sean plays the saxophone, right?
He does.
So why is he not doing some smooth outro, intro tunes for them Studio Meala podcast?
I know, right?
That's what I want to know. Yeah.
I know. He should be doing the jazz bit from All That She Wants, you know, that Ace of Base tune.
Just flagged, copyright, flag. Take it down.
But yeah, I always want to ask Sean for a bit of saxophone, but I don't know why I feel like I know.
Yeah.
He'll think I'm a pest.
Okay.
But I always want that the same for like even my own podcast. I think like, I wish Sean would take out his saxophone. As soon as I hear anyone who's on the podcast can play an instrument, I feel like saying, "Oh, go on."
Yeah.
Grab it.
Absolutely. I'm a really terrible piano accordion player, but I love it. And I posted
do you have it there? Do you have it right there?
It's behind me. It's electronic though. It's not plugged in.
Oh.
Yeah. Sorry. I'm really sorry.
We should have you play us out.
Yeah, I would love to. I would love to. Yeah, do a waltz so you can do it at the end. Yeah, sure. Yeah, I'll send it to you. But yeah, no, because I posted on Instagram at one point, like I did a story, because I'd never play for people publicly, ever. It's a personal thing. I ended up playing the piano accordion because I really wanted to do music as a kid. My parents wouldn't buy me a drum kit. So the only instrument we had in the house at the time was a piano accordion that my dad had actually received from his father when he was a kid. He brought it all the way from Tehran in Iran, which is where my dad is from. And this accordion had been traveling around with us for so many years and no one had ever bothered playing it. And I heard one song that I loved and it was accordion. So I sat down and I started learning to play it. And then one day my stepdad comes into the room and he says, Who taught you how to play the accordion? And I was like, nobody. And then I was like, oh my God, this is it. This is my instrument. This is my dad. This is my dad. So when I posted a video of me playing online, Sean reached out to me and he was like, oh, cool. I didn't know you play accordion. I said, oh, do you play accordion? And he was like, no, I play saxophone. I was like, oh, yeah, that was it. I was trying to remember what you played. And then as soon as I thought about the Studio Meala podcast, I was like, where is Sean's saxophone solo? Get this in there now.
Look, I'll say it to him, but you need to say it to him too. We need everyone. We should actually message as many people in Meala as possible to like just blitz him with get the saxophone out.
I think every animation studio deserves a band, the Studio Meala band. You know, it's
true. There wasn't there a Disney band like a jazz?
Yeah, was it the Firehouse 5? I think it was.
That's it.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, has to be done. Well, you pitch this to Sean, see what he says. I've already seen you. Was it the two of you playing piano in?
I cannot play anything, not even a little. I'm very envious of anyone who can play anything, even amateur levels. Nothing. I've got no music ability whatsoever. In fact, I did music in school, and I was fine for the theory and learning, you know, the notes, and you know, one of the songs we had to study is like Bohemian Rhapsody, and like go through what is each part.
That's amazing.
Like broken down, and all that was fine and really interesting. But part of music class was you had to do some singing, and I was so terrible that when the like group song bit was happening, I was taken aside as they were under the impression that I was, as a joke, trying to ruin it.
No! Oh,
like,
come on.
That's how bad I was. And when you're trying your best and you're in trouble for like, you are so bad at this that you are making fun of music itself and you're making everyone around you worse. It was just devastating.
That is really bad. I thought it was bad because I got kicked out of the choir in school because my best friend at the time was messing around, and I never got over that. But I mean, this is awful. This is literally them saying like, "Are you serious right now? What are you doing?" Oh my god.
I mean, I should have thrown it right back at them as like, well, seems like you've failed to teach me.
Yeah.
It's like, what were you doing?
My incompetence is a result of your incompetence.
And while we're on that, you can get the maths teacher in here because I'd like to have a word with her as well because my math skills.
I was the same. I failed maths miserably in school, and then when I was 23, I finished school and I graduated from uni. I went back to school and I got my, leaving cert equivalent GCSE of math, just because I couldn't get a job in Waterstones and I really wanted to work in a bookshop. So I was like, I'm going to get my C. And I got my C at the age of 23, sat in a room with a bunch of kids and I redid my math paper. And so I feel you. I feel you on that.
Fair play. In fact, whenever I imagine, what would you do if you could do it all again? Yeah. And I'm supposed to be thinking about how I would make the right decisions, make better connections with people, practice on this, that, and the other. Mm-hmm. But I really do think a lot about being good in school.
Yes.
I don't know if I would actually stick to it if I went back.
Why? Were you bad in school? What?
I was really good at English, and art I was good at, and pretty much everything else not so good.
Well, it's a good job. It's a good job. Two of those things are what you're doing now. Like
it was clear from the start that there was a certain trajectory that I was going to be sticking to. But yeah.
That's good. I think that's the thing, is when you're not good at math and other stuff like that, it's like, well, what are my options? And it just so happens, well, you don't usually find people who are so good at art, but they hate it and they don't want to draw. You usually excel at the stuff that you love doing. So I guess that's kind of why we are in the jobs and doing what we're doing now, because we love it.
I think my saving grace was that even though I wasn't a great student, there was a lot of people around me who were much worse.
Oh, really?
So I was rarely singled out as like, there's a bad student. It's like people would say, yeah, there's a bad student, but there's 10 worse ones sitting around him. So
that's a good consolation. That's a good consolation.
It was a bad school.
Yeah.
But so it goes. Hey, turned out all right. I'm hosting a podcast.
It's like
so who's having the last
where
laugh?
are they now? Where are they now? The school reunion. And everyone's like, damn, I wish I was hosting a podcast. Yeah,
I'm running around with the microphone interviewing. So, are you on a podcast? And turns out everyone's on a podcast. Because everyone's on a podcast these days.
I have like a book from years ago that's like the answers book. Like you flick the page. It's one of those things that you don't need, but you flick a page and it gives you the answer to a question. Like you ask it a question. I should find that.
The whole book was just yes or no.
Yeah.
No, nothing
It's
else.
basically yes and no, but in 1,000 different ways. Or like not an answer at all. Just a random statement.
Just, no, you idiot. Yes, you fool. It's like, why did I buy this? This is upsetting me every day. So you would have some sort of internal conflict some creative conflict, like, should I work on this until midnight tonight? Should I pull an all-nighter? And I would open up the answers book, and what would be the sort of thing
Like
it would give me?
it could say, take a walk. Or it could say,
take a walk, pal.
ask a friend. It almost leads you somewhere else. It doesn't give you an answer.
The book is fobbing you off, like take a walk or ask someone else.
Yeah.
What do you want from me? I'm a book.
I think there is one yes and one no page. So you're really hoping for
the
one
book
of those.
of no answers.
But otherwise.
Did I send you that picture of the Snoopy Donuts?
No.
I mean, I'm going to do it right now because I love this photo. It's on my desktop. I'm going to just drop it onto Discord.
To show you the Snoopy that I have on my desk.
Oh, that's very good.
I think this is the only reason I really like Snoopy is because in Japan they just had this absolutely perfect teddy Snoopy that feels like a real puppy somehow. And then I just became obsessed with Snoopy.
I saw this image years ago, and it was one of the things that made me go, I really want to go to Japan.
They're so well drawn.
Yep.
Have they done that? Individually, or do they have a machine? I think they've done that individually. That's incredible.
I feel too sad about the idea of eating one. But yeah, Snoopy's great. And off the back of how good that photo of the donuts is, I watched some classic Snoopy and was like, Snoopy is so good.
It's so good. It's great.
So if you can bring some of that Snoopy magic back,
I would love to. He's adorable.
Did we go into the Snoopy bit of Universal Studios?
Briefly, I think, as we were leaving.
Like walking. Oh, it was the safe area. I should make clear to to the listeners at this point that me and Sinead are friends. I know Sinead, and we've been to Japan. But we were there at Halloween, and as night fell, the whole place flooded with monsters and zombies and killer clowns, and there was a safe route out for people who were like genuinely frightened, and it was through
and also the small children.
And the small children. It was through Snoopy Land. And I was thinking what a cruel trick it would be to have like that as a trap. Like you go through the tiny children section, and that's when they drop the most horrifying the goat-headed monsters.
Charlie Brown's a zombie and he's doing the dance.
It's like, you're free to go, kids, as long as you can kick this football. They pulled it away from me. Didn't even see it coming. I should have known. I know the lore, and I still didn't see it coming.
Just hundreds of crying children.
I remember being really frustrated when Into the SpiderVerse came out. I went to see it, and I thought that was incredibly good. And a few days later, I was in a pub with some friends. Do you remember? You used to be able to do that back in the day. But I was in the pub with my friends, and I told them, "Oh, that new Spider-Man film is excellent. I really recommend you see it." And I was surrounded by stumped expressions and genuinely reacting like, the cartoon. Now, I know that everyone at that table has seen like more than 15 Marvel films, which is fine, but it's really irritating that Spider-Verse film absolutely wipes the floor with all of those films.
and
But
it's
they've
still like
no interest, even with me saying to them, "No, it's really good," and they're still kind of like arms folded, like couldn't be, how could it be? It's some kid thing, or whatever. I've no idea what their prejudice
metric
is, but they're not interested.
And even something like Into the Spider-Verse is very approachable. Like, it's not like it's alienating. Even though it's very visually experimental, you know, it's doing a lot of the stuff that Ang Lee was doing on the Incredible Hulk film that he did, which was maybe people didn't know how to watch it at that time. You know, it's like the train coming towards the people in the 1910s in the theater, and they're like freaking out. You know, only it's like this.
I remember
Hulk
audiences
guy
running out of screenings of Hulk back in 2004.
And Ang Lee did a lot of the motion capture for Hulk as well, by the way, which I love. There's footage of him just hitting things. But yeah, there's certain things that animation so labor intensive, but then a lot has happened in the last 15 to 20 years, really, and it's mostly due to how anime has permeated Western kind of culture. Because in Japan, obviously, they're known as a consumer of animated films, and they make animated films for like all ages and for all like sensibilities. They have a huge like industry over there, even if the money doesn't really go to the right people in terms of, you know, who ends up lining their pockets. But they have a lot of like very sophisticated, very mature work that's not just like when you say like adult animation in the States, let's say, it's all like fart jokes or sex jokes or whatever. It's just crude stuff. Let's say is the baseline.
Sausage Party was a trailblazing film.
Yeah. There's problems with the Sausage Party as well, like labor-wise too, but that's another conversation. Yeah, like the thing about shows like that is that's the only way. I think in animation, people are so ashamed of it being an animated film in the West that they find it hard to do something genuine. So they have to like shield themselves with either sarcasm or crudeness or, you know, whatever it might be. While in the in like Japanese production, Korean productions, they're quite earnest with their work and quite direct, and that's again because of the graphical tradition that they're building on. So they have like the mangas, which are just literature over there. You know, they're not like comic books; they're literature. You know, in terms of they're tackling like very very sophisticated cultural and personal stories, and also there's ones about like women that are battleships, but that's another thing. Like there's an element of that is permeated into general culture in Japan, and like even China and Korea as well, via their own kind of domestic production, that people are willing to watch it. Like something like Your Name coming out and people going mad for that, you know, over here even. Or like you mentioned in one of the previous podcasts about Promare coming out and it just being like insane in terms of Cineworld just being completely like overrun. Like there's dozens of us. But like there's a certain amount that the Western, and by Western I mean mostly North American, animation market is very adolescent in its framing and how it markets animation, which tends to dumb things down a lot, or they don't know what to do with films that are a bit more sophisticated.
I was impressed at all those Transformers at the Olympics.
Are we talking about the what happened? We'll say
I got a
in
message.
brief. So.
I got a message in the middle of a weekday by a certain person, a certain animator, who just linked me to a tweet where himself and yourself were going to town on some Gundam enthusiasts.
So someone at the Olympics was rock climbing in front of the unicorn Gundam statue. I'm going to get in trouble for saying unicorn now instead of Transformers. So in front of the unicorn Gundam statue, and the BBC News desk said, if you think rock climbing's hard, try doing it in front of a Transformer. And I love Gundam, and I saw that and I thought, well, that's just funny. Like,
but you love Transformers more.
But I just thought it was funny, and I thought everyone else was just going to find it funny too, like endearing, kind of like,
oh no.
But I was kind of embarrassed to see so many people being like really annoyed, like, hello? Do your research?
Actually.
And when they did their follow-up tweet, which is only like a half an hour later or something, where they're like, oops, like, we saw what we did, our bad. So, who would do better at the Olympics? A Gundam or a Transformer? They're just trying to be fun. And I replied to that with, don't give these nerds an inch. It's a Transformer. And I thought that tweet made it clear that I did know. I know it's wrong, but just say it's a Transformer. Ignore the people who were angry. But I did not think that I was opening up a miniature portal to hell.
This is just... Imagine that tweet is just like a bit of cardboard, and you are absolutely just dousing it in petrol. They were lighting it aflame. And it didn't help that you kept linking the Transformers Wikipedia in many of your replies.
Well, I was so floored by the fact that anyone was replying like seriously annoyed. So I just had to link.
It's not a laughing matter. It's not funny at all.
What I liked about linking the Wikipedia article was it was specifically for the live action films. And being like, it's called Transformers. Look it up. It made $5 billion. And still, the most amazing replies were the ones who were saying, I know you're joking, but... And still explaining. And I say...
I still know a lot about Gundams, and here it is.
If you know I'm joking, then surely just leave it. But no, they still have to correct me, get the facts in there.
I want to go through it and count, the amount of times that a Wikipedia was mentioned, whether it be the Transformers wiki, the Gundam wiki. Eventually somebody, instead of just, he linked the wiki and then he actually just screenshotted the wiki and tweeted that. And that was honestly where I said, look. Is the peak. This is the peak of it right here.
The funny thing is, the Twitter algorithm must have somehow decided that the replies I was getting were abusive, because it stopped showing me reply. I would have to search for my own name to see what people were saying.
What?
Yeah. So I stopped fueling it myself, because I knew there was some people that just, like a dog with a chew toy, would not back down.
It really made my day.
I'm glad. I'm glad some people got a kick out of it instead of...
I sure did.
Punching the drywall in their homes.
The BBC better never tweet again.
It is funny to look at that tweet that was definitely just fired off by someone. Like, it's the sports desk people covering the Olympics. It's just a tweet. It's not even reporting. It's just a bit of social media engagement, like rubbish, There's a big robot in the background of this photo. Just, we're tweeting the photo. Just say something about the photo.
How about that?
And the fact that there was people talking like, is this what people are paying for? Is this the kind of reporting? And it's like, it's hardly the Middle East coverage. It was an insult
to the Japanese culture, and we will not have it. And don't trust the media.
I mean, this just proves the mainstream media have no idea what they're doing. So, creatively speaking, what does voice nagging suspicions suggest to you?
Oh, probably something like, you're not as good as you think you are, and you need to get better faster. Those kind of suspicions that I try to keep inside, but sometimes they rise to the surface, especially when you're on projects that you care a lot about. Luckily, whenever I voice them, I have a very good friend nearby me, Michael,
Hi.
to be like, no, don't worry, you're doing great.
Oh, your nagging suspicion that I've heard often is like, they're only being nice to me because they like me. I'm like, they like you because you're cool. Like, in order to get to the biased state in which you perceive them to be in, you've achieved that through who you are. And trying to make that logical jump every time. Oh.
Yeah, I would love to be less insecure, but sadly, I've yet to find something which it's going to make me feel that confidence.
I think you're the little engine that's driven by that insecurity. You're always pushing further down the track.
I hope not, because I'd like to think that one day I'll be more confident, and that's not going to have, I think there's a certain fear with some people, not myself, no, of course not, that if you don't have that insecurity, that you're not going to have the drive, and you're going to kind of lose, in air quotes, it. But I definitely think after living many years on this planet, I've taken breaks from animation, I've taken breaks from art, and it's always something that I come back to. So in actuality, I think that whatever it is deep inside each person, and it's not something that's so frivolous to be lost easily by doing something like believing in yourself, or having a good work-life balance, or not always suspecting that your friends are just being nice to you because they like you.
You're so right.
I hope so.
If you got it, it's not going anywhere.
Yeah, I think so. I think everyone has this innate something that's particular to them, and you see it every time they draw anything or sing anything. It's what makes their creations their creations. Like,
I think everyone has that fear of whatever the latest thing it is that they do. They think this is the one where everyone finds out I'm a fraud.
Oh, the imposter syndrome. Yeah, it never goes away. That's the sad fact, I think. It's that it's just not, you just have to learn to live with it and ignore it, I think.
I think people are afraid of a great many things. The constant struggle and escape from disappointing people is that feels really real. Like, I think that's a big part of why you wouldn't communicate if you're struggling with a task, is that you think that they expect you're capable of doing it. But what's really the case is that they hope you can do it, but they don't know fully whether it's even possible to do. Like, they just I'm going off on a tangent here, but
it's a good tangent though.
Tangents welcome.
I think it's really important to be able to communicate in a really honest and genuine way with the people that you're working with and the people that are around you, and surround you with people that are genuine and sincere. Because if you are struggling, good, that's okay. Failing is a part of everything. Like, learning from your mistakes is how you grow, and sharing those mistakes with the people around you, I think, is healthy.
I think when you share the mistakes with people around you, you very quickly realize that everybody feels the same. And everybody else is also terrified of disappointing and failing.
Your mistakes aren't going to set you apart. They're going to bring you together.
Just enjoying a bit of mulled wine there. I say enjoying, more like enduring for the sake of tradition, warming, very good. So that was the Meala Christmas Bonanza Bucket. I hope you enjoyed hearing from everyone again. The last clip we heard there was more lovely sentiments from Doig and Swift, and they were talking about a an oblique strategy card that they pulled. I think, even though it's just myself here, maybe I should draw an oblique strategy card. What have I got? What wouldn't you do? Well, what wouldn't I do? What wouldn't I do? I suppose there's lots of things I wouldn't do. I wouldn't commit a crime. I just want that out there, you know, in case any narcs are listening. Narcs? What am I talking about? What wouldn't I do? I guess I would never sell out. Anyway, Studio Meala hoodies, very cozy, hand-stitched. Honestly, do buy a Studio Meala hoodie. Because as I was saying before, that money goes back into the studio. That's a great way to support the studio. Speaking of support, I gotta talk to you about how happy I am about the support that the podcast has received. It's amazing to think that it only started this year and already so much support, so many kind words, and that's been very heartwarming. Huge thanks to Niamh, Sean, Stephen, Jerry, and everyone else at Meala. Thank you, of course, to everyone who's been a guest on the podcast, people who've been kind enough to give me their time and their patience. And finally, again, thank you to you listening. Thank you so much for supporting the podcast. I'm rambling. I've thanked the listeners several times now. It's the mulled wine. You know. Christmas time, drunk uncle in the corner repeating himself. That's me. So, listen, bundle up, stay warm, stay cozy, get yourself a little present, and please do join us in the new year. Merry Christmas from all of us at Meala. Good night. Oh man, this Studio Meala hoodie is so cozy. Do I even need this coat anymore? And you tell me all the money goes back into the studio? Oh my god, I gotta buy 2 of these. I gotta buy 2 of these hoodies. You heard about these hoodies?